It has been a few days post-entertaining Melancholia for the first time, on this channel no less, and maybe some of you took that journey with me for a simultaneous first exposure experience, or because the EP's been out for a little while, I would imagine some of you are approaching from a greater depth of familiarity than I have, yet, though I'm building that out. And for clarification's sake as well going in, because in this case EP and song share a name, I'm speaking in respect to the latter. Right, and of course, we're building out a concentration on the EP with subsequent videos, including this one. But again, I'm referring to my origin point with The Day We Left Earth as an isolated presence through the song. And that's what I said, in the beginning I was going to deliver on for you. It was my intention. As is with many artists in terms of first exposure experience, especially coming off of collaborative works. And for many of you, you probably know in approaching this, if you followed my journey with The Day We Left Earth, that's where it started. Through a collaboration with a longtime favorite of mine of the Swedish metal landscape, Dead by April, through the Wasteland song. If you've not entertained that before, I highly recommend it. It is such a strong piece. As I've done for many artists, as I said, with the collaborative model, especially when it comes to a known and an unknown pairing. I use that as a first engagement, then look further. The Day We Left Earth, in terms of first introductions, and again, that's a territory I found myself in quite often on this channel. It's a sub-ambition of the, as many of you know, my grander dream of bringing music onto a more emphasized presence on this channel alongside other artistic landscapes, given how much of a dominance and love I have for it, or a dominance and respect I have for it in my life, I have for many years, especially in the metal and rock territories. I think of the scope of first introductions that we've taken on this channel, from a variety of different artists in name, regard, geography, musical styling. Melancholia, I don't want to be one to rank things, because there's not been a song or an artist on this channel that I've not liked. I don't necessarily want to undermine anybody and be like, oh, this one's better than that one necessarily, right? Because they've all stood out in my mind for different reasons. The Day We Left Earth produced, at least on, again, an initial first exposure, such an interesting work to survey. In every respect, strong music delivery, especially on the electronic, punk rock, pop vibe. That was the structuring of the piece as well in the measure choices, the scope of it, the different tones. They really played with a lot. It was a good mixture of different elements that all created a beautiful piece to entertain on music craft. And on lyrics, though, I'm still in a state of shock of how authentic the piece is, which many of you know. I've said this before as well in respect to why I've pushed so deeply, besides on music and composition style with not just the European rock and metal regard, though many of you know how much I love that, but rock and metal generally. I sense an authenticity that I don't oftentimes see replicated to the extent of what the rock and metal landscape produces, especially on relatability. Again, plug in whatever context you want, but generally in negative situations or adversarial states of being, metal can be such a cathartic agent of resonation, healing, transformation, illumination, whatever, again, you want to describe it as. Melancholia, I'm still stunned by it. And I've re-listened to it a couple times. It's such a strong piece lyrically. It's very well written, blunt, forceful, very assertive. And I respect it for that. Astoundingly. And it definitely piques my interest looking further. Like, if that's the main title track off the EP, and that's your initial first exposure, what are the other pieces going to sound like? I would imagine it's going to share in a potency. I've skimmed this one. I can see it is dealing with at least some semblance of a resonation and a similarity to that one, though it is, I believe, a little more specified. I haven't looked at it in detail. It's more skimming. I'm just curious to engage further, because that initial experience was just so rewarding. Let's deepen our time together with The Day We Left Earth. And again, as I said, if you want to take the same journey that I did, start with Wasteland and then Melancholia, and now let's approach Eden together. And I hope that, as I said many times with music, I like to amplify artists that deserve a greater focus, and I do think that The Day We Left Earth has that. I haven't looked into how strong their following is yet, but I do hope if I can manage this in any way, with the competency I oftentimes see in the music space and what I mirror in regards to analysis and what I feature as coverage, I hope to produce paths for you to explore talents you have not been accustomed or introduced to yet. The Day We Left Earth, if you've not entertained them before, I think deserves your attention. And maybe you're going to take that journey with me on an initial piece. Though I would, again, recommend looking back at some of the other songs of theirs that I've recommended, or at least stuff that's been done in connection to them, or with their attribution. Maybe we'll entertain Eden for the first time together. For the song, certainly, for me, but maybe for you as the band. And I hope that fosters a favorability with you, especially if you're a rock and metal fan. I hope they appeal. I think they will. Take it from me. And I'm 2 songs in. At least on first exposure, I'm like, I gotta hear more. I hope that's shared. Again, I want these videos in every way to be a mutual experience of music enjoyment and perhaps introduction. I hope we have a fun time together as we consult good art. I would imagine Eden is. Let's humor it. And by the way, I love the titling. You'll see if it's going to play out in the lyrics. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the main video that came alongside the piece, which also incorporates the lyrics. Many of you know I like to provide the lyrics to suit your taste. Perhaps if you want to read along with the message, Day We Left Earth has provided that for me. So that you'll see that in the video if you do want to read along with it. If not, just sit back and enjoy the piece. I'm sure it'll be, as I said, quite strong on the rock note. And I can't wait to see how the spirit of the piece and ambition is emphasized here. Because Melancholia was just so strong. And this succeeds it. Okay, a bit of a harder electronic basis than the first one. Much more intense rock. I questioned the variability, especially with the Dead by April connection. No wonder, again, as I said, they paired together. They're so similar. Oh, man. That electric syncopation just, oh, it's jiving. Great variation on the key, matched with an incredibly effective pace. And great vocal overlap in a part of the clean and the unclean. It's a fabulous match. Lyrics and song mesh beautifully on the energy there. There's such beautiful harmony. As I said, that Eden line, I love the title to it. Great riff application. You know, I think we can all say we've been at that type of standpoint emotionally in different times of our lives. Again, there's just such beautiful relatability here. Sophomore introduction on the album. I'm loving this journey thus far. It's still early, but great end on that. You nailed the feed there. That ends beautifully. I hoped it would. You know, sometimes maybe artists might choose to relinquish the emphasis a bit and suppress that and deter to some. Maybe you have the artist drop off the song entirely. That'll be the cutoff point. I love the fact that they refer back to the original opener. It's so good that it doesn't lessen. I love that. It's a nice twist, too. Song construction, again, is phenomenal. It's very Dead by April. Again, the two just fit together so beautifully for that collaborative work, especially on listening to the stylings individually with The Day We Left Earth. It makes complete sense. And as I said in that original video of Melancholia, I did question, because that piece kind of sits into a middle territory, right? It's got, if you look at Dead by April, not to say like their, identity is just solely based around being a Dead by April comparable, because they are individualized in some of their own ways. I'll get to what I heard in a minute, at least on one respect. But their piece with Melancholia sits in the middle territory between where Dead by April can go. Just again, to paint an analogy here, you have songs that are more ballad-centric, more melodic, versus other thrash, aggressive songs that are, admittedly, though I do keep an open door on, broad respect, I do prefer the more agitated of presentation, because I'm, a more energetically entertained type guy, in the rock's respect. This is more on the harder edge, whereas Melancholia was diversified to different parts of the song to fit both respects, so that it sits kind of again that central territory between the two, if there's a division to be made. Eden, much more aggressive. Love the key choice. Love the fleshing out of the song through the chorus sections. The structure there was wonderful, very well delivered. But that opening riff is just great. The energy of the song, the passion. Well worded, by the way, as I said on lyrics. Similar in energy to Melancholia in the respect of somebody, I think, looking at the world from a negative disposition. Just seeing what life looks like and how they feel challenged by it or obstructed. Somebody sitting in a more negative state of being. Though this song, as a complement to Melancholia, has great placement, and this is more of like an uphill swing. Whereas Melancholia does kind of sit more in the negative. There is a hopeful twist here. But again, you also have that point of resonation of, okay, let's set the baseline of where someone is at emotionally. The sickness is rising, we're falling out, I can't let go, all I feel is doubt. That one line though, pieces of Eden are lost and gone. Again, as I said, Eden's a great title for this, but that line specifically, referring to somebody who, I love how they worded this. Again, there's such strong writing on their imagination of concept. Trapped deep within my mind, desperate to be out. That's not the line that I'm thinking of. That's strong too. Haunted by memories of another life. All these memories haunting me. Cut me open and cast them away. I mean, literally, of course, we don't follow suit. But metaphorically speaking, I think many of us could sit, myself included, in that, past inhospitable reverie of sorts, where we've been in that emotional state where we are more, surrounded in shame or regret. Again, there's a beautiful resonation here. Pieces of Eden are lost and gone, though. I love that line. Sort of the good memories that you want to retain amidst all the other ones you wish you could throw out. If that is maybe an interpretation to be humored. As I understand, The Day We Left Earth does write their songs, at least from my understanding. I could be wrong, at least in some parts of this. It's just my summation based on what I knew about Wasteland and what I'm seeing with the evolution of Melancholia. There's a broad respect that's open for interpretation based on subjective audience member experiences in life. But in general, again, I think these songs are very well written. I love it. I love that connection point with music. And again, in the metal scene, this is... it's typical, but it's revered with me. Because I know if I say typical, it sounds like, I'm being like, it's not... It sounds dull or something. I don't mean that in the negative. I expect that connection experience. And because, again, in the respect of many groups, there's such strong delivery on emotion and just the human experience. Living life in a world that's challenging. And trying to find that restoration and that healing, or just that general connection point of somebody being like, hey, I'm there with you. Which music, again, as I said, it's a great agent for healing. It's been, as I've said in many cases in my life, it's been closer to me than people have. I have a deep bond with music that the day we left Earth, alongside many other groups, but certainly to count them in that, they just hone in right again on that sensation for me of why I've pushed so deeply with rock and metal when I've needed it. Emotionally, or just in terms of good entertainment. This piece offers both dynamics quite well. If you want a harder metal rock song, you got that beautifully. There's such a strong electronic emphasis. And again, as I said, to identify it, because I like to find originalist points in the music I consult, especially when I make comparables to other groups, for example, as I did with the Dead by April regard. I like the background vocal pattern. I forget where it is. I think it's like somewhere around the bridge area. It's after the second chorus somewhere. But that echoed presence I really liked. I love anything of kind of like a symphonic. I don't want to say symphonic, because it really wasn't that. It adds this perspective. That was really nice to hear, again, accompanying such a beautifully echoed, harder electronic energy. Great scope to the piece and beautiful construction. Again, on the key choices, especially for the constructions of the choruses, I loved that. And meshed with such a beautiful vision. Again, as I said, if you want it to be one of two respects, maybe a blend of the two. You've got a sufficient delivery in that respect with a hard metal song, which definitely shows off the group's range. I can't wait to hear more. And a beautifully connective piece in rawness. I respect that. Again, Melancholia, I'm still, as I said, mulling it over. I would imagine, again, Eden, it definitely is a good follow-up. Very satisfactory, again, of expanding that original piece. Again, with the more uphill vision towards the end, or at least the hope of that, the temptation that there is a better future. It's wonderfully manifested, though. I love the experience of humoring The Day We Left Earth. It's been great. 2 tracks in, on their individual regard. I'm having a great time, at least initially with the first EP. And we'll go on, of course, to the second single and ever video that released. More recently, that is The Wire. I'm liking the journey, though. I hope you are, too. I'd love to hear if that is a sentiment that you can speak to down below, because I don't want to impose my opinion, of course, in place of anybody. I'd love to hear, if you do wish to disclose your perspective, what your thoughts are on Eden. And how strong, maybe, where does this sit for you in terms of comparisons? If you have entertained Melancholia before, which one of those drives more at you? For me, it's a blend of the two. I think the first experience definitely sets a good baseline. But this, with Eden, we have a nice feed again into where I generally am more inclined towards metal listens on the musical regard, with the same revelatory lyrical vision. I respect both sides, and I feel that Eden delivers quite well on that. Another strong tune from The Day We Left Earth. I can't wait to hear more from them. Again, we're going to be expanding in perspective of the entire EP, so 2 more tracks to go, at least again on this collection. But so far, so good. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.